Hello and welcome back to the channel. And I've been thinking about doing this type of video for quite a while now. So as you can tell by the title, I'm going to be giving some tips for collecting physical media. Now, I myself have only been doing it for about 4 or 5 years now, since 2021. And I have amassed a pretty sizable collection. I'm roughly over 800 DVDs and Blu-rays and VHS in my collection, all are on like four different bookcases, three of which you can see behind me, and you can see some of the DVDs on the floor there. So yeah, I'm going to give. I have seven things that I've written down for those who are just getting into the hobby or thinking about starting collecting physical media because you've seen this video might have been in your recommendation and you've been hemming and hawing about it, or if you've seen other people in the space, like some of my personal friends, like AJ's Movie Place, Mass V's Movies, people like them that will like show off these cool editions of that they purchase, and you think, oh hey, this looks neat and cool. I want to get into this hobby. How do I do it? Well, this is going to be the video for you. So, as I said, I have seven topics written down here. But if any of my movie friends has a suggestion that I left out, feel free to leave it in the comments down below. So I also would suggest for those who haven't started collecting to check the comments just in case there's a few extra tips and tricks that I might have missed when I was thinking about this video. So the first tip that I have is a pretty common one that I'd say, and that is buy used. So obviously you can buy, brand new the movies if you want. HMV will always have like a pretty good selection of cheap DVDs and Blu-rays of movies that've been out for a while, or just some recent-ish movies for like a pretty decent enough price. Or hell, sometimes HMV might even do an offer on certain things where if you spend X amount, you'll get this for an X amount of price. I have availed of that before. That's how I got my 007 No Time to Die Blu-ray, was because I bought some things and that made that Blu-ray cheaper. But if you just want to go out to, like, say, your local thrift store or charity shop, they will usually have a nice big stack of physical media, usually DVDs. For me, it's been very rare that I'll see Blu-rays out and about. Now in charity shops, it's always DVDs, and that's fine. If you just want to collect DVDs and you don't care about what specs you're gonna get for like the quality of the movie or TV series that you want to watch, and you're happy enough with DVD, then fine, go for that. That's if that's what you want to collect, that's fine. Because I have like over 500 DVDs in my collection, and that is spanning movies and TV series. You can see a lot of the TV series behind me there, and a lot of those are DVD. And that is usually because it's cheaper. It is the cheaper alternative to buying new. Now, again, it's going to be one of my points here to always support the official release when able. But that's how I started off my collection, was going to charity shops and CEX, because that is a used electronic store, and they always have massive stacks of DVDs, movies, TV series, Blu-rays, 4Ks for a reasonable price. A lot of the time, like way under retail. So that is tip number one. The second tip is kind of in line with tip number one, being buy used, buy lots. Scour eBay, scour Facebook Marketplace, scour any place that you Whatnot for is another one that you could scour for lots. And it's a cheaper way of getting started. You could see someone selling like 100 DVDs for like €50. And that's you starting your collection. And then again as well, but those buying those lots of DVDs, Blu-rays, any types of physical media, you can then if you buy 2 or 3 different lots, you can start to go through these lots, think, oh, I want this one, I want that one, I don't need this one, I don't need that one, I don't feel like collecting for this right now. And then you can sell those on yourself. So that way, what you've just bought, as long as what you sell is for is for in around what you pay for it or slightly above, that makes those free. I've often done that in a charity shop where I would go in, and this is also kind of like another unofficial tip that I have. If you see video games in a charity shop, and you live near like a secondhand retro shop that takes in video games, or CEX, look up or hell, even on eBay, look up the value of what you would get for trading that in or selling it. And if you get more than what you're going to pay for it, then do that. Because I've often done that, where I would find, 3 or 4 different video games, and I'd find maybe 1 or 2 items that I would want. And so I buy them all together, and then I'd immediately trade them in to get the voucher, and then I'll always nearly double my money. Like the most recent time was a couple of weeks ago, where I found a bunch of Xbox 360 games. I kept one of them, which was Call of Duty Black Ops 2, and I also found a Fight Club steelbook, which is right here for me to grab. This was €4 in that charity shop. So in a sense, I basically spent €10 on those, on 3 games plus one for myself and the DVD steelbook, and I traded in those games, and I got €15 on a voucher. So I made a $5 profit. So that's another thing that you could do, because then you could use that voucher to buy more physical media, like because I know in America right now, Game Exchange, they definitely do physical media as well, like DVDs and Blu-rays. They started doing that as well as the retro stuff. So that is something that you could do as well. The third one is something that me and my friends have talked a lot on different live streams over the past while, is collect within your means. I personally don't collect 4K. That's where I'll stop. Blu-ray is where I'll stop at collecting, and that is simply because to me, it is not worth the investment. For me to get a 4K TV and a 4K player, either be an actual 4K player or a game system that supports 4K discs, we're talking about over $1,000 here, nearly 1,500, just to upgrade my setup to be able to play these 4K discs. That's not including having to then go out and buy 4K upgrades to stuff I already have as a Blu-ray. I'm happy with 1080p being the max quality that I can view something. Not having to constantly go out and have a movie that I already have on a Blu-ray, and then it gets announced later down the line that, oh, here comes the 4K, and then I'm like, well, shit. Now I have to decide, do I want to upgrade to 4K, or am I happy enough with the Blu-ray? So that's why I will always say collect within your means, because that's what I do. I don't have a lot of money. The most I will spend in a given week on physical media is ranging between €10 to €20 max. Sometimes it's a little bit more than that, or sometimes it's a little bit less, depending on what I'm buying for my collection. But that's in around the means that I'm able to set aside for this hobby that I do. And I mean, like, you can see behind me the collection that I have gained from this. I've posted multiple hour-long showcases going through my collection at the beginning of this year. Now, the next one is something that I've already been talking about, is if you live near a CEX, use that. If you're starting out, go to the €1 movie section. Or the £1 movie section, or the $1 movie section, because I know CEX is in Australia and a few places in America. Because they will have a lot of great movies for that €1 or £1 or $1. And that's how you get a massive collection, because you could then, again, go in with 50 of your currency to the CEX. Go over to the one value currency section of the store, and come out with 50 DVDs. you know. And it's not just those. Like there will be, you could go check the regular movie section. You could find some great movies, for like 150 to €2, like or €5 or something like that. You know, utilize CEX, because there is a high possibility at some point that they might stop doing DVDs and go strictly for Blu-ray, because I do know of a Dublin CEX that they just don't have the space for it. They don't have the space for all the physical media, so all they really sell in that store is Blu-rays and video games. And that's it. You know, that's the only physical media that they sell. Because I've been up there quite a lot. I think it's Westmoreland Street CEX is the one that does that. The number five on my list is kind of concurrent with collect within your means, and that is collect what you want. You know, I remember, again, this is going back to stuff that me and my friends have talked about on live stream quite a lot, is these boutique labels. You know, these boutique editions that Arrow or Criterion or Shout Factory, what have you, are coming out with these really nice collections. And don't get me wrong, they are amazing looking collections, but you don't need to feel that FOMO of missing out on those. You know, if you're just happy, again, if you're happy collecting just DVDs, then do so. Or if you're just happy collecting both DVDs and Blu-rays, or just plain Blu-rays, the more power to you. The same with 4Ks. If you're able to do that, then go right ahead. Don't let anyone presage you, like saying, "Oh, did you get this boutique label?" And you say no. It's like, and they could say, "Well, why didn't you?" You know, you're not a real physical media collector if you're not shilling out all this amount on for these boutique labels that realistically, yes, it depends on the transfer as well. And like for 4K, it depends on the transfer. But you could just be happier owning just like say the standard DVD of it or the standard Blu-ray of it, and not feel the need to get these boutique labels. You don't need, if you don't want them, you don't have to get them. You know, don't worry about FOMO, because you could get them at a later point, you know, when the price is a little more affordable. You know, everything fluctuates at a time. Another one that I missed out on, and this that I'm just thinking about now, is if there's like a holy grail that you want, um, always keep checking eBay for deals, because you never know what you're going to find. Like someone might just say, "Oh, I have." Let me just actually go grab it. They could be just like, "Oh, I don't know, like this really expensive Blu-ray. Just give me €5 for it," you know, because I got lucky with my copy of 28 Days Later. Here, I found it in a charity shop for €2. At like really late in the morning. So it either must have been just put out, or people hadn't clocked it yet. You know, there's no reason for it to be there at the time that I got it at. So yeah, that is something that you should do. You know, as or what like when it comes to charity shops, no, you know, get friendly with the people who work in these charity shops or thrift shops, and ask them, you know, what days do they put out new stock, because then you can go there when new stock is out, and you never know, you might get lucky, like I did with my 28 Days Later. I got super lucky with that. Now the sixth one that I had written down is don't stress about new releases. You know, the gap between a movie being in cinema to being released on physical media is shortening every day. You know, a movie could just be out, and then 4 weeks later it's already out on physical media. You know, so don't stress about like saying, "Oh, this stack of movies are coming out. I have to get those straight away." Don't worry about them. You know, they'll go down in price. You know, they'll eventually go on sale, or hell, you might even find them in charity shops or in CEX or in Game Exchange for so much cheaper than you would be paying. You know, the 20 to €25 to €30, or hell, even 45 for the steelbook. You know, and that's another thing. You know, you know, you'll see a lot of these creators buying the steelbooks as things. You don't need to feel the need to go for them. They look pretty. Don't get me wrong, I do love a good steelbook, but I love getting steelbooks for a bargain more than actually dropping €45 on a steelbook. And usually they're just the 4K steelbooks. There's very rarely you'll see now Blu-ray steelbooks for movies being released. Well, kind of in America, yes, but not here. And then, as I said in the beginning, towards the beginning of this video, when you are able to, always support the official release. And that kind of goes in terms of movies and TV series that don't have physical releases, and you end up going down the route of bootlegging, and that's fine if that's what you want to do. If that's what you've been left with doing, and I'm sure it's going to become more common as the years go on. Where like all the Disney Plus series like Mandalorian and Ahsoka and all that, they're only being released on 4K steelbooks. Not a lot of people collect 4K. I sure as shit don't. Now, granted, yes, they do also include a Blu-ray disc. Don't know why they're going to just have a standard release, a Blu-ray release for these series. But no, it has to be these 4Ks. Like, for myself, I bought Tenacious D and the Pick of Destiny, a bootleg Blu-ray of that, and a few years back, and it's only like last year or something like that that I finally got an official Blu-ray release, but only in America. So I can import it, but I'm not wasting all that money on importing it. Even though I can play it on my Xbox One, it just doesn't seem feasible to me. But that is going to wrap this up. Again, if any of my YouTube friends have thought of a tip or trick that I left out of this video, please do comment it down below. And those who are getting into collecting, I hope this helped. And again, check those comments to see if there is something that I missed that one of my friends has pointed out. Thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I believe the next video is yet another Cinevlog, where I am going to see Karate Kid Legends. So I'm really looking forward to that one. So I'll catch you all on Monday, I believe. Or no, yeah, Monday. No, Friday. Friday for that one. I'll see you all next time.